My stepsister took my place in my own house. I used to be Daddy's girl, always. Since my very first steps, my first drawings, those quiet evenings when he'd stroke my hair and call me his sunshine. Until she came, and it was like he forgot I even existed. It wasn't some loud, dramatic betrayal. It was more like being slowly erased. First from photos, then from conversations, then from memory. You're still there, technically, but it's like you're behind glass. Soundless. After the divorce, it was just me and Dad. Mom left. First, just for a while, then a couple months, and eventually started sending postcards from Montreal with pictures of bridges and coffee cups. I stayed in the house. And so did he, with me. Our evenings turned quiet. Not sad, just muted. Like the house had exhaled and never took another breath. We ate dinner in near silence, forks tapping against plates. In the background, the voice of a news anchor talking about elections or traffic, and I'd feel this tightness in my chest. Not from the words, but from the constant hum of emptiness. Dad barely ate. Most nights he just pushed food around with his fork. Sometimes he'd stay late at work. Sometimes he'd forget that someone was waiting for him at home. But still, I felt like we were us. Two lost people who at least remembered what warmth used to feel like. I missed Mom. To the point of tears, a lump in my throat, especially at night. But I held on to the scraps that remained. Saturday pancakes, even if the batter was always lumpy. The car rides to school when Dad would crank up old radio songs and sing along to John Denver, messing up the lyrics. Our old blankets, the cat that slept curled against my side. It was a fragile, awkward little life. But it was ours. And then everything changed. Emily appeared. The stepmother. That's how he introduced her. This is Emily. She's going to live with us now. No warning, no discussion. Just suitcases in the hallway, and she walked in like she had always belonged there. Confident, smiling. A stranger. And with her came her daughter, Kathy. Emily moved in almost immediately. Some women enter your life carefully, step by step. She came in like a hurricane, repainting the walls, throwing out half the furniture, and bringing with her the overpowering smell of lavender and almonds. Her daughter came too, Kathy, also 16, also went to my school. But that was the only thing we had in common. At first I tried, honestly. I gave up part of my closet, lent her my charger, even offered to help her with math. She just looked at me like I was trash, silent, and walked past like I was invisible. Dad. He tried to keep everyone happy, but I noticed things. The way he looked at Kathy when she told her dumb little stories, how he laughed just a bit louder than he ever did with me, how he asked how her day was, how he told Emily, "You did a great job. She's such a smart girl." And when I tried to speak, "Jen, don't start." Start what? The first red flag. Kathy started taking my stuff. First, it was my hairbrush, then a sweatshirt Dad gave me for my birthday. A week later, I saw her walking out the door in it. I told Dad. He smiled and said, "It looks good on her. You weren't wearing it anyway." That night, I sat in my room with a broken heart and realized I was being slowly pushed out of my own home. And it only got worse. She copied my makeup, my style. Then she started hanging around my friends at school. At first, just nearby. Then, closer. And then, instead of me. At home, she lied. Constantly. She told Emily I yelled at her and slammed the door. Told Dad I stole her mascara and called her a slut. I didn't even use mascara. But she cried. And I was grounded for the weekend. She played the victim perfectly. And I kept losing my voice in the noise. No one listened to me. He started forgetting things. Little things. My school play. He missed it because Kathy had an important orthodontist appointment. My birthday dinner. It got canceled because Everyone wants something healthy now. Kathy's vegan. I ate a dry salad and tried not to cry. People think jealousy is about wanting something that isn't yours. A car, a body, popularity, likes. They see jealousy as petty. She's just bitter someone else is better. But the truth? Jealousy isn't about wanting someone else's life. It's about someone taking yours, bit by bit, quietly, politely, with a smile. So slowly that you start to doubt, was it ever really yours to begin with? It's not like theft. It's like replacement. When someone else starts taking your place, at the dinner table, in conversations, in memories. When you watch your dad laugh with her using the same laugh that used to be just for you. When he buys her favorite snacks, remembers when she has a test, and even strokes her hair the way he used to stroke yours. And you, it's like you're no longer there. Jealousy isn't about things. It's about disappearing. You're still here. You breathe. You speak. But no one sees you. And inside, everything pulses with one truth. That was mine. That was me. That's my home, my life, my family. But they tell you, you're exaggerating. You're being selfish. You just don't want to share. And you want to scream, I already gave up everything. All that's left is me. And now you're taking even that. At first, it was just little things. Passive stares, fake politeness, quiet contempt. But then she started going public. She wrote nasty things about me on social media, not using my name, but everyone knew. It started with vague posts. Some people live with you and think they're special, lol. Then came the memes, collages of my worst photos, taken without me knowing, screenshots of my old posts with captions like identity crisis or where were her parents when her taste was developing. And the worst part, she added my former best friend to the group. The one I sat next to since 9th grade. The one who knew how hard the divorce was for me. The one who brought me chocolate on my worst days. Now she laughed along with Kathy, in their shared group chat, where my name was just a target, a metaphor for mockery, a synonym for pathetic. I tried not to read it. I tried to convince myself it was just stupid teenage drama, but every time I saw a new post, my heart would sink and just stay there, pulsing with pain. One day, I finally got the courage. I went to my dad, sat next to him, slowly, calmly, without raising my voice. I said, Dad, she's bullying me. Online, at school, at home. He just let out a heavy sigh, tired, annoyed, and said, You need to be more mature. She's trying to adjust. It's a new home. Everything's unfamiliar to her. As if I didn't live in that house. As if my world wasn't falling apart too. What about me? Isn't it hard for me? Doesn't it hurt? But as always, my feelings came last. Dad didn't want drama. He wanted peace. Even if that peace meant I was slowly vanishing. And then, it happened. I was looking for my headphones. Just a typical rushed morning. Backpack, textbooks, coffee thermos. I stepped into her room. She had already left, and opened a drawer. And there it was. My diary. Not just a notebook. My therapy. My late-night tears. My most personal thoughts. Stickers. Highlighted lines. And her scrawls in the margins. Cries like a baby. Lol, she's actually depressed. Drama queen. God, she's so boring. I don't even remember how I got to Dad. My hands were shaking. My throat felt like I was swallowing sand. I held the diary like evidence, like a scream in paper form. I showed it to him. He looked, slowly, expressionless, and he said, You shouldn't have gone through her things. Her things? My diary was her thing? And that's when it hit me. Deep, clear. I wasn't seen here. I wasn't heard. I wasn't protected. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I just went back to my room and closed the door and went silent because I no longer knew who I was talking to. I became a shadow, not metaphorically, literally. I moved around the house quietly, left rooms when I heard their footsteps, got used to making my dinner when the kitchen was empty, ate standing at the sink, not because I was in a rush, but because the seat at the table didn't feel like mine anymore. I ate alone, always. While they chatted about shopping, Kathy's new diet, or whatever show was trending on Netflix. They laughed, loudly, messily, and I sat in my room, with headphones in, watching old seasons of House. Not because it was fun, but because it was familiar. Just to drown out the sound of what they called family. The cat, even he chose her. My cat. I found him as a kitten in a box outside a store, nursed him back to health, raised him, wrapped him in my scarf during the winter. He used to sleep on my pillow. Now, he curled up at her feet. And when I called him, he didn't come. Like the smell of her lotion had become more familiar than mine. And with each passing day, I disappeared a little more. Less of my clothes in the closet. Fewer books on the shelves. Even the photos. Taken down, replaced with their family ones. Sometimes I looked at myself in the mirror and didn't recognize the girl staring back. Slumped shoulders, tired eyes, lips pressed tight. I started to believe maybe it was fair. Maybe I really was the problem. Mean. Jealous. Maybe I was ruining their happiness. Maybe I was the bitter, dramatic girl who just couldn't fit in. Sometimes I caught myself thinking Dad was right. That I was making a big deal out of nothing. That if I just tried a little harder, things would get better. But the more I tried, the deeper I sank. And one day I realized I wasn't the one destroying relationships. They were erasing my place in this family. Carefully, deliberately, like an eraser over a pencil sketch. But then, everything changed, not suddenly, not loudly, almost by accident, almost like a mistake. Like the universe got tired of being quiet and dropped the key in my lap. It happened in biology class. We had a group project, and for some reason, Kathy sat next to me. A rare moment where we sat shoulder to shoulder. I didn't ask why. She didn't explain. The teacher had stepped out of the classroom, and at some point, Kathy set her phone down on the desk. The screen was still on. Unlocked. She must have just been texting. Maybe she got distracted. I didn't mean to look. I really didn't. But my eyes just landed there. And I saw the name of the group chat. Stepwitch. Stickers next to it. Black hearts, crying emojis, upside-down smiley faces. I felt something tighten in my chest. I scrolled through a few messages. My fingers went cold. My head started buzzing. Everything in that chat was about me. I hope she moves out soon. Her daddy is so dumb, haha. She literally wears the same bra every day. Her voice is like a dying mouse. She seriously thinks her dad still cares about her? I couldn't even tell what hit harder, anger or shame, because despite all the venom, part of me wanted to cry, and part of me wanted to hit something. I quietly pulled out my phone, took screenshots, one by one, every last message, emailed them to myself, then deleted the sent mail, calmly, mechanically. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel pain. Not shame, not despair. I felt power. Cold, clear, no trembling lips, no tears. It was like some older, exhausted version of me stood up inside and said, "Enough." This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about drama. It was about a boundary. A line that should never have been crossed. I printed the messages, pages and pages, and I waited for dinner. A family dinner. I laid them on the table. Without a word. Kathy turned pale. Emily gasped. "Dad?" Said nothing. I said, "You wanted proof? Here it is." Kathy froze at first, like she couldn't believe I was serious. Her face cycled through so many emotions, it was almost awkward. Shock, panic, irritation, fear. And then, like clockwork, it began. First came the yelling, Loud, shrill, frantic. She tried to drown everything out, hoping no one would read. That's not true. It's out of context. It was just a joke. Then the classic move. Blame the friends. I didn't write that. It was Maddie. She used my phone. I don't even know who added me to that chat. Then came the tears. That same old mask she wore every time she started to lose. Hands shaking, voice cracking. I didn't mean it. I was feeling really alone. I sat in silence and watched. Dad didn't interrupt, didn't stop it, didn't try to shut me down like he used to. He just watched. First, her, without looking away, as if he was really seeing her. No filters, no excuses. Then, he turned to me. There were no words in his eyes, but there was something else. A pause, recognition, a quiet, I get it now. And that was enough to stir something in me. Not anger, but the feeling of finally being seen. For the first time in years, he truly looked at me. Not distracted, not distant, not with that vague glance that always seemed to skip past my face. He looked directly, intently, like he had just come up for air, like he finally realized I had been there all along, watching, enduring, waiting, like he finally saw me. After dinner, he knocked, softly, almost uncertain. I had waited years for that sound, and still, my heart skipped. He stepped in, sat down. No speech, no lecture. Just a man who had finally taken off his armor. He said he had been blind, that he thought he was just giving everyone time. That adjusting was normal. That he didn't realize what it all felt like from the inside. That he didn't know how alone I had been. I just nodded. Not because I had forgiven everything, but because it was the first truth he'd told me in a very long time. A lot has changed since then. Not magically. Not like a fairy tale. The world didn't become perfect. Emily still defends her daughter, fiercely, even when it's obvious she shouldn't. Kathy doesn't speak to me. Not a word. Not even a glance. And that's actually better, because her silence is the only honest thing we've ever shared. But Dad started to come back. Not like a hero, but like a human. He buys my favorite yogurt, makes sure it's the plain one, just how I like it. Sometimes he leaves little notes. Good luck on your test. Or show me your new video, even if I won't get it. He's trying, awkwardly, slowly, but on his own. Recently, he came into my room with a box. Inside were my things, the ones that had gone missing. Books, a hair tie, my college hoodie. And on top, a new notebook. White, thick cover, no writing. He handed it to me and said, "Write again. I want to read it. I haven't forgiven everything. I can't. Some scars stay, even if you cover them with the prettiest apology. But I forgave myself. For doubting. For thinking something was wrong with me. For believing I didn't belong. For thinking I had no right to be angry. I wasn't being mean. I was fighting. For what was mine. For my place. For my voice. She tried to become me. Tried to take my space, my clothes, my friends, my family. But I got myself back. Before she finished the job.